All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Beast Wars Transmetal Rattrap. Definitely one of the cooler Transmetal designs in my opinion. But yeah, there are a few different versions of this guy I should mention. There's the original Hasbro version, which is pretty similar to this one, but this is actually the Takara version, the Japanese one. So some of the maroons are slightly darker. I think that the gray plastic is a slightly bluer tone than the slightly yellower kind of gray tone that they used on the Hasbro version. Of course, it says Cybertron up here instead of Rat Trap. But there were a couple other versions. There was also the Fox Kid repaint, which I think is maybe the one I had as a kid, which is probably the worst one in my opinion. That's like a kind of like brighter red rather than this maroon. There was also one that was like a weird Japanese pack-in with like a jigsaw puzzle that was like white kinda. There was also a blue version. That one I actually do have as well, that I believe was a Walmart exclusive. So yeah, there's been a few different Transmetal rat traps, but I'm gonna be looking at this one, the Japanese version. And yeah, no, I really like the rat mode. I just think it has like a really nice kind of satisfying shape to it with these you know, the wheels kind of making up the back thighs here. It's got some decent articulation. The tail has lots of different joints here. As you can see, it's just, you know, one of those where it like alternates the direction of the hinge at every other joint, so you get a really good amount of sort of posability and versatility here. The back legs you can kind of open up a little bit and move in and out. The foot also is on a little bit of a hinge, but you're not really doing a whole lot with that. The front legs you can kind of rotate forward and back, and then the paws themselves can rotate up and down, so you can kind of like adjust the you know, the angle of the foot there. Head obviously does nothing, but you know, decent amount. I mean, for a rat, I mean, I don't know what you're really expecting it to do. Mostly it's just having nice posability in the tail, I think is kind of the better feature here. But yeah, nice looking head sculpt there with the gnarling kind of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles mouth there. I think this is really one of the ones where the chrome really pops on it, especially, you know, on these wheel pieces. I just think it looks really nice here. In terms of comparisons in this mode, just for a standard one, here he is with side swipe from Kingdom there. Here he is with the blue Walmart version, who if you want, you could have this be a version of like Pack Rat, who's, you know, the other like blue Rat Trap repaint, though it does have the word Rat Trap straight up tampoed on it, so, you know, whatever, but that's what they look like together. And then here he is with a few other versions of Rat Trap, with the Kingdom version, the original one, and the Thrilling 30. Why not, since it didn't want to have it be the only Rat Trap I didn't show off in this video, but that's what he looks like with all of them. Like the other Transmetals, he of course does have the sort of tertiary like vehicle mode, and his I think is one of the more successful ones. Basically what you do is you take the front legs here and you kind of fold them up like this, so the hinge kind of sits over this section, and then you fold the foot up like that to have the wheels sit down like that. Then you take the back legs here, they'll kind of double hinge down, and then you flip the feet to the inside of the wheels here, so it sits like that. Then you've got little exhaust ports here that you flip out, and then you're supposed to kind of like straighten out the tail. That's what he always did in the show when he was using this mode, but he turns into a little rat car, which I think is kind of cute. Definitely the joints on mine's tail don't always like actually let it sit up like that, but it rolls really nicely. It's got a nice you know, a nice kind of feel to it. But yeah, no, it's a pretty cool little mode. We can compare it with Sideswipe here now, since he's actually in car mode, and then we can real quick show that off with the blue version, though you kind of know what you're looking at here. If you're looking at that version, they're pretty much exactly the same, just different colors here, but still, I think it's a pretty successful one. It feels like, you know, it's less so like he's turning into a separate vehicle, and it's more so he's just like got a transport mode with wheels on, and the fact that it rolls really nicely definitely makes it a lot more satisfying. But yeah, to get onto the rest of the transformation, you pretty much just fold the wheels back up, just leave the feet folded under, fold these back up. We can take the tail, and it actually, you can kind of leave it here because it'll just end up in his hand in robot mode, but it can unpeg. And then on the bottom here, you've got the legs, which are just pegged in right here. You bring that section up, and you can kind of rotate the legs around just like that, and fold down the feet. The rat mode head splits here. I usually just get like a fingernail in between the teeth there, and you can kind of lock that into place just so it's not flopping around. You kind of bring it out like this, and then what I usually do is I fold down the legs like this so that you just have enough clearance, because sometimes it can be kind of annoying to like rotate the rat head sections past all the stuff here. But if you get it like that, then you can basically just like rotate this down and have it sit like that, because that's how it's supposed to sit. But if you're not going directly from the vehicle mode, it can be kind of annoying sometimes to actually, you know, make that happen. Even this side is kind of giving me some trouble right now. There we go. So just get it sitting like that. And then we can take the arms here, and they'll flip out to the side. This one is just kind of like hidden underneath in this cavity here, so you have to kind of rotate it out and then flip it out to the side. Here is his maximal rub symbol here is on the back like that. And then you can take the head, flip it out till it clicks into place, and then take the whole body and flip it around like this, and then it will just peg into the body. And then you can kind of finish off connecting the arms there, just like that. And there we have Transmetal Rattrap in his robot mode. And yeah, it's a really nice looking robot. I would maybe eventually like to see like a new version of this guy, because there was sort of an extra transformation step that he did in the show that the toy doesn't do, where the backpack actually flipped around so these wheel sections were sitting up on the top rather than, you know, down like this. I found out on this version it doesn't like totally want to stay pegged in all the time. Like, it still looks okay and it stays in place relatively well, but it's a bit annoying. Also, it's something that I've always never been super fond of about this guy is the fact that really when you look at it, like none of the robot mode parts, like relevant robot mode parts, actually become the rat. He actually just kind of has the rat folded up on his back and then with the shoulder pads, but you know, whatever. But it is a little bit of a shell former, I guess, in that way. But yeah, otherwise really satisfying little robot mode. He also has kind of like a like Zurg from Toy Story face going on there, or like a Darth Vader face, which I think is kind of funny. In terms of articulation, the head is on a swivel here. Shoulders are each on ball joints, which you can rotate around. You can kind of, you know, get these out of the way however you need to, though they do kind of bump into stuff. It's got a bicep swivel. It's got a full deep bend there for the elbow, because this one has to fold up like that for transformation. Nothing at the waist, obviously, because the hat tabs in. Hips are on ball joints, which can't really go back because of the huge backpack, but can go forward and out to the side. He's got a actual thigh swivel. He's got about 90 degrees of bend at the knee. He also sort of has the separate, it's not really a joint, but it's kind of sculpted like a knee joint, which make him sort of look like he's got like satyr legs, but you know, whatever. And then the feet can hinge forward and back. And then basically what you're supposed to do with the tail is have him hold it as like a giant, you know, like whip weapon, which looks okay. Unfortunately, there's no real dedicated place to store it. What I've kind of found that you can do is I usually just like lift up one of the shoulder pads here and kind of just like, you know, twist it around this section, then close that back up. And that works well enough for me. It's kind of just out of the way and it is locked in there. You can kind of bring this down so it kind of just like sits like that. I do have a bit of chrome wear on mine, unfortunately. I do leave this guy in the box most of the time just because I think it looks like it's like a really nice display piece kind of in the Japanese box there. But, you know, it still has gotten a little bit of a chrome wear. But yeah, no. I feel like that works, even though it's not like a dedicated thing, just because the tail has so many joints, you can actually, you know, do that and have it work. And it doesn't really actually look all that bad either. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is again with Kingdom Sideswipe, just so you can see what he looks like with an average modern deluxe. A little bit short there, as he should be, though still I kind of prefer Rattrap being that smaller scale, like as a scout class or a core class. I feel like the deluxe is always just like a little bit too big in my opinion. Like, he does get a little bit bigger in the show when he turns into his Transmetal version, but he's still a pretty little guy, so he doesn't scale super well with a lot of things, but that's what they look like together. Here he is again with the blue Walmart version, just so you can see some of the differences there. And here he is again with the original and Kingdom and Thrilling 30 versions of the Season 1 design of Rattrap, just so you can see what he looks like with all of them. Like I said, it would be cool to get a new version of the Transmetal design at some point, but honestly, the original figure, even with the things I don't like about it, it still does hold up, really. It's just like the head sculpt is, you know, and the face is not super accurate. It would be nice if the backpack flipped around, but otherwise, that's pretty much spot on. I mean, definitely, you know, in the show, his shoulder pads shrunk down a little bit to look like less huge, but I wouldn't want them to do that with a new figure anyway, because, you know, that I wouldn't want the cheating, but still, I feel like it's a pretty decent rendition of this version of the character from the show. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about him. It's kind of hard to describe, but this figure also just has like a really nice kind of like hand feel about him. Like he has a nice sort of weightiness. Like the backpack has a decent amount of like bulk to it. It's not as hollow feeling as you might expect it to be, considering like most of it is just like one big chunk here. The way that the wheels all roll really smoothly, it just has like a nice feel about him. So yeah, pretty nice little Transmetal figure, and definitely one of my favorites from that era of the Beast Wars toy line. But yeah, if you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Make sure to check me out on my Instagram account. That's toys.n.art. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Beast Wars Transmetal Rattrap. Whoop, there he goes. Stand. Ankle tilts would be nice on a new version. Come on, work with me. Work with me.